Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. That one's called Belly of the Beast, the title track from the upcoming release from Joe-Lynn-Turner. And today we want to welcome back Joe-Lynn-Turner to Rock and Metal Revival. How you doing, Joe?
Doing well, guys. How about yourselves?
We are doing
good.
Excellent. Now, this new album, Belly of the Beast, is your 11th full-length album, and it's is a pretty familiar saying in the world of rock, but I heard the entire album, and I could really understand this title, Belly of the Beast. I mean, it is really heavy and loving it.
Yeah, it's certainly dark and heavy and reflective of the world around us, gentlemen. You bet. It was so motivating to me that I wanted to do something artistic and relevant finally here and not repeat myself. So when Peter Tackerin and I hooked up, we decided to make a modern metal melodic record, sort of making a bridge between the two genres, and I think we accomplished that.
Yeah.
It's got melody, it's got message, and it's got metal.
Exactly.
Definitely. Now, it seems like there's some lower tunings on here, and I know you don't need it for your voice because your voice is just amazing. But it does definitely makes some of the songs sound a lot heavier. Is that what you were going for?
Well, Peter's I think he's using like the 8-string bass and there's some stuff on there that is just,
Yeah.
I mean, this is metal stuff. This is what the guys use on the guitar, 8-string guitars and, all that. Oh, yeah, it's official. It's really metal.
Nice.
This ain't just But I believe there's still 440 tuning because it sounds deeper, darker. But I think that the tuning is a standard A440 because when I check it against my guitars, it's in the key of E or it's in the key of B minor or what have you.
Yeah.
So it just sounds deep and dark, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe, we've been fans of yours through Deep Purple, Rainbow, Malmsteen, your solo work, and this just seemed, when I first listened to it, I'm like, man, is this heavy? Is this something Joe's been wanting to do for a while now? I mean, is this something, even when you were doing the more melodic stuff, you're like, man, I want to do a heavy album? Yeah,
you said it, brother. I mean, that's exactly that. I didn't do a solo album for years. I mean, it's over 10 years, maybe more, and I didn't want to repeat myself with all the other albums. I was just doing albums one year after another, and I just felt like it was repetitive. And on those albums, there were darker spots. There were more metal-type songs, but they weren't produced in a metal way. And I just said, no, man, I got to get heavy here. I got to reinvent myself. And I think from the image right down to the style, down to the music, everything has been just reinvented, fresh. So artists got to change, man. Otherwise they die,
Good point.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when you're writing songs, which comes first usually, the music, the lyrics, or the vocal melodies?
Well, it's kind of funny because at some points when we were able to get in the studio, because during the pandemic we worked virtually, but when we were in the studio, Peter would be writing and recording the music, and as I was writing lyrics and melodies, we wrote Black Sun that way and Tortured Soul that way.
Nice.
And then after that, because the pandemic hit and we had to send files back and forth, computer MP3s and things like that. We even used WhatsApp and Viber and Zoom, but he would send like a skeleton track. What I mean by that is just bare bones, but basically, drums, guitars, and I would write to that. So my style is I always like to make the lyrics sound like the music, because I'm an old Beatles fan, and I think the Beatles had that chemistry where, whether it was When I'm 64 or Strawberry Fields, the lyrics sound like the music. So there was a marriage there. So he would send me a track later on, and I would just say, this is what it is. Because I'd have a book of sketchy phrases, titles, things I wanted to expand on and write about, and I would just run down my list, and bam, I would find something that this is perfect for it. And I would merge the lyrics with the music. So I think you're also noticing every time you hear a track, it's sort of cohesive.
Yeah,
it fits. It sounds like what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Now, Joe, over the years, you've worked with some unbelievable guitarists, Blackmore, Malmsteen, and one of my favorites, Carl Cochran. How does your new collaboration stack up with the guitarists you've worked with in the past?
Well, I mean, guitars, techniques have changed, et cetera, et cetera. And in order to do a modern melodic metal album, we needed a guitar player that was going to absolutely understand this. So one of the guys from Dynasty, Love Magnusson, these guys, when they're not in Dynasty, which is a great young band out there, they play us JLT backup band. So it was natural for us to call Love from Sweden, of course, and say, would you do the leads? Because otherwise, Peter, in his brilliance, he played all the rhythm guitars, the bass, he did all the programming, and his son, Sebastian, played the drums, who's an amazing young kid, amazing. And here's something of note. When I was doing backgrounds, and then Peter said, look, I got an idea. I'm going to call the guys from Sabaton, and they're going to come in and do some backgrounds.
Nice.
Sweet.
And I went, man, what a great idea. And that's where you get those heavy voices from, this whole deep, that's Sabaton, man.
Okay.
So really, it's kind of a handful of people, but still, it was all put together. That's all you need when everybody's that creative and that gifted, talented.
So, what are the tour plans? We're gonna see you over in the U.S. eventually here.
Yeah, I'd love to, man. But here's a big problem. First of all, I don't tour in the winter. I've seen too many accidents. I really have. I get that. I was there when Metallica was opening for Rainbow way back when, and the bus went over. And that was an experience and a half.
They were on tour with you.
I'm sorry.
They were on tour with you. You guys, Rainbow and Metallica. Wow, that would have been a.
You kidding? They were opening. Def Leppard was opening for all these people. Were opening for that are huge stadium acts now. Are you kidding? Wow,
that would have been great.
But. So anyway, we were about 45 minutes behind their bus, and we pulled up to see red lights, and
oh man,
it was just horrible. So anyway, the winter is a bad time with the black ice and everything, guys, as you well know, to travel. So I wouldn't do anything until March anyway. I'd set up all the dates if possible, and then do it in March through the summer. But right now, I'm getting calls from a lot of names that you would recognize, and saying, I'd say, how was the gig? And they'd go, well, it's like half attendant because people don't have any money. And a couple of promoters kept canceling too because they couldn't make, the insurances and the rental and the security and all the things that go with renting a venue. So what I'm saying to you right now is, since the economy is in the toilet, I don't know where we're going to end up with this. I know everybody's anxious to get out there. The big shows seem to work because everybody saves up for the big show, in the stadium shows like Def Leppard and Motley and all that. But, when you got the medium-sized venues and things, I don't know. It's half attended or sometimes or what. So let's see where the world is at that point. With any luck at all and God's blessing, we might just get back on our feet here. But I have to be conscious of that realistically.
Yeah. Totally.
Joe, I was fortunate enough to get to see you play with Malmsteen on the Odyssey tour, which to this date is still my favorite show that I've seen with Yngwie. Now, I've heard that you were brought in on that whole project as kind of like a hired gun to get him into the public eye. How did that story work out?
Okay, so Jim Lewis was a VP up at Polygram, and I lived in New York at the time. Jim lived in New York, and we used to go to the same bars and cigar bars and all that and hang out. And he just said, would you consider, doing something with Malmsteen? And I said, well, isn't that the guy that Richie says he tries to copy him? Because that's how I knew him. Richie, you would tell me. Richie would hold up like, the magazine and go, this guy's trying to copy me. Yep. And I'd say, And I say, okay, who is he? And he goes, he's some fucking Swede, So I knew of him, but I didn't really know a lot about him. Mm-hmm. So Jim, I went up to the office one day, and Jim played me some stuff, and I said, well, he's a great guitar player, and he is. He's very brilliant. Started his own kind of school of guitar playing with the arpeggios and the speed, but he said, but he can't get on the radio. Yeah. And at that point, radio, it still is, in my opinion, it's the big thing. Mm-hmm. So he said, so can you do what you did with Rainbow? Yeah. Which was the same strategy that Rainbow hired me for, to get it on the radio, to become more popular, to play more shows and have more fans and break America, which we did. We got into the American charts. So that was how I started with Jim Lewis. So Jim set us up with a meeting. I went out to L.A. for a few days and partied my butt off with Yngwie. And after that, he kind of liked me because I could do shot for shot and other things. And and then finally, when I came back, that's when he ended up in the hospital. So what I did was I had to take control of the situation. I had to be the elder of the group and take care of his hospital bills and his needs from Polygram, et cetera, in conjunction with them. We worked together, and all that while I was writing to the tracks that he had written. He had demos, and that's where I came up with Heaven Tonight and Deja Vu, right, and the Dungeons, Crystal Ball, all of that. And when he got out finally, and he recovered enough to make the album, we put it all together, and I think it's some of his best work and some of mine.
It is a great album.
It's a great album.
Yeah,
it's still today. You play that album, and it's just pound for pound great songs.
Nice. Now, going back to Belly of the Beast, one of my favorite songs is Fallen World. It's got this syncopated, weird timing at the beginning that kind of really grabs your attention. Where'd that song come from?
Well, Peter wanted to do a heavy metal kind of shuffle, as we call it.
Okay.
This kind of thing. Normally, you could sing a blues over it, right?
Yeah.
So I had no clue what the hell to do over this. And I'm sitting there one day, and I started to use my English literature skills, and I said, iambic pentameter, automatopoeia, let me develop a rhyme scheme here. And I said, so what am I going to rhyme about? And I said, exactly what's happening. It's a fallen world. And I started to almost do like a rap. It's destruction, and on and on. So when I sent him the demo of the vocal, he just wrote back one word, amazing. So I knew I had it.
Nice.
And I said, okay, man, we got this one then. We nailed it because it's a major, shall I say, message on that. Mm-hmm. In accordance with the music and the chorus, of course. And if you ask me, gentlemen, we are living in a fallen world.
Yeah, that is true. That is so true.
And it's shocking to be true, but here we are.
Yeah.
Joe, as a Rainbow fan who never got a chance to see the band live, I was kind of disappointed that the Rainbow reunion didn't have you and Graham Bonnet on it. Were you as disappointed?
Don't start with me. Don't start that with me, man.
Well, my thing is, Joe, were you as disappointed as I was as a Rainbow fan that didn't happen?
Well, as you know, and I'm going to give you the short story, because you know my opinion on that so-called reunion, which it wasn't because there was nobody else in the band but Richie. What happened was I wanted the Rainbow extravaganza. I wanted all the ex-members of Rainbow that were still alive. And even to do some Dio songs, whether it was Doogie, Graham, me, whether it was Bobby Rondinelli on drums or Chuck Berge, Donna Airy, Tony Carey, you name it.
Yeah.
You name it. I wanted and I had Rick, I had the guys from Live Nation, Rick Franks, he was running the whole show at that point, and he thought he could put us on 164 dates and all the big festivals and special guests and all that. And it would be like a 2.5 hour show.
Awesome.
So I was dealing with the Blackmore camp and his manager, Carol Stevens, Candace's mommy. And I was going along, and I have all the emails to prove this, and one thing, then I noticed that she just dropped me. She just ghosted me. It was just over, and I never got a reply back. And then I heard through the grapevine from reliable sources that she told Richie that I wanted millions of dollars and I wanted full control of the whole thing. And she out and out really just steered him wrong against me. And they ended up doing what they did.
Yeah.
So all I can say is, am I disappointed? Well, I think everybody's disappointed. You know, not only me. Of course I'm disappointed, but my point was the legacy.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it deserved more respect.
Yeah, Amen. Totally get that. Now, you sang a couple tracks on Michael Schenker's Immortal album, and to tell you the truth, I think that's a great combination. How'd that come about?
Well, Michael and I have been trying to do something for years. I mean, for years. And it's always been, I'm too busy, or he's too busy, or he's on tour and I'm in the studio, or vice versa. So Michael Voss, who is his producer, is also a friend of mine and also a co-songwriter. We write songs together a lot of times. And Michael called me one day here, and he goes, look, finally, can you do this? We got 2 songs. We need a little writing on it so you could put your style in there. He said, but at the same time, we need them, you know, within, say, 3 weeks. And I said, Michael, I finally have the time. I can do this. So he sent me the 2 bare bones tracks. I rewrote some things, went in the studio, got his approval on what I was doing, finished the track, sent him back, and the rest is history. So actually it was just a matter of scheduling for years. So, and it came out great, I think. You know, and I'm very happy and proud to be on the record with Michael, because he's a legend in his own right, this guy, and he's still playing and kicking ass all over the place.
Yeah, those are 2 of my favorite tracks off that album. You know,
oh, cool.
Joe, over the years, you've had a lot of different experiences in this rock and roll life. Any chance we could see a book about your life in the near future?
I'm not sure how near, but there is one being worked on. My chronology, gentlemen, is like the worst. I think something happened like, you know, a month ago, and it was like 2 years. You know, it's just insane. So I have this girl, Julie Mills, who's wonderful, and she's co-writing this, and she's amazing because she gets all of the dates straight, where I was, when I was, what show, everything. So she's compiling all of this information, plus all the stories, because we for about a month and a half, we just talked every morning for about an hour and a half, and I just related story after story, and et cetera, et cetera. So it is being compiled, but I'm not sure how close in the future it will be, maybe 24.
Okay.
Instead of 20. I don't know if it'll happen next year, because it all depends on if I can get out on the road and, you know, how busy you are for me to actually complete things. But yeah, there's a book in the works.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Sweet. Now, going back to the album, the song Requiem, it's kind of mellow, a little bit mellowish on that to end the album.
Yeah.
You think that song could have benefited from adding some cowbell? I think that would have fit right in there.
And we'll get you to play it.
Yeah, I'm great on it. I got no tempo, whatever. So I got
more cowbell, yeah. You know, Requiem is a pretty heavy goth kind of sounding ballad. Yeah. It really is. You know, and we thought it really suited the last song on the album, because I had the experience even live, when you don't necessarily leave them with a rocker. You leave them with something that settles them down, where they hold up the lights and the lighters and the phones or whatever, and you kind of just bring the whole thing beautifully, like Dreamin', you know, from Malmsteen. I used to end my sets with Dreamin', and everybody would just be, oh, wow. And then they bring you back for an encore, and you blow the head off.
Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
Nice.
A little strategy there, gentlemen.
There you go. Nice.
Hey, Joe, where's the best place for our Rock and Metal Revival listeners to keep up to date with what's going on with you and to get this outstanding album?
Well, I mean, right now you can go on my Instagram, Facebook, I forget what other social media there is out there, but we're announcing it constantly. I just saw an ad today. You can go over to the Mascot website, absolutely, and get all formats, digital and CD, and we have a beautiful white pearl vinyl.
Ooh, nice. We love vinyl. Yeah. Yes, we love
white
vinyl.
Pearl, man. Nice. Yeah, vinyl's big.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a gorgeous white pearl, so it's kind of like stunning and collector's item. And then I know there's a couple of autograph copies left, too. So
cool.
If people are getting on board with that right now, they can have the autograph copy as well.
Sweet.
So, yeah, you can find it just about everywhere I am, for example. Joe-Lynn Turner website, official. It's called Joe-Lynn Turner Official. Everything has to be official because people will steal your name, try to impersonate you. It's really crazy, But sure, it's very easily found. In fact, like I said on YouTube, I saw an ad today.
Outstanding.
Sweet.
Well, Joe, we always let the artist pick the song out of the interview. What song from your catalog would you like us to play? Something off the new one or something from the past catalog? What would you like us to go out of the interview with?
I think we should play something from the new one.
All right.
Because I'm trying to turn over a new leaf here, gentlemen, and I really want people to get an ear candy on this stuff.
Sure.
And lately, there's so many good tracks in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But lately, everybody's been telling me "Tears of Blood," so I figured maybe it's a real good radio song. So why don't you spin "Tears of Blood"?
Awesome.
Well, there is new Joe-Lynn-Turner right here on Rock and Metal Revival. And Joe, you are welcome back on this show anytime.
Well, guys, thank you for the hospitality. You haven't changed a bit. You're as beautiful as ever, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate the love and support all these years. And when I get in town, we're going to have some beers.